Sorry vegans out there, but farming kills animals too.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Perspective Philosophy. I'm here today at Pride to do some interviews on equality. We'll see what people answer. Do you think that the same values that we express at Pride should be applied to animals and how we treat them? So let's go. Is your name Lewis?
It is.
Oh, hello, I'm Lewis.
Oh, Lewis. Lewis.
So, what brings you to Pride today?
I've got absolutely no idea. I've never been before, so I just wanted to experience it, see what it's all about.
Yeah?
I mean, just
Just
for the hey-hos. I mean, I'm not a homosexual myself. However, there's lots of folks that are.
Yeah.
Hey-ho.
I don't know.
You don't know?
Get more. Celebrate that we're gay. I'm gay, that's what.
Well, I mean, it's about the community spirit, isn't it? It's about bringing everybody together. It's about recognising Stonewall, which is 50 years.
Yeah.
And it's about recognising the struggles that the gay community before us went and what they went through for us to allow what we have today.
Yeah.
And without their struggles, we wouldn't be here today.
Exactly. What do you think Pride's for?
Well, it's for the pride, isn't it? It's in the word.
Support the queer community, everyone, not just gays and lesbians, even the non-binary and trans people as well.
Yeah.
People forget about those.
Well, a lot really, isn't there? There's different bits to it. Celebrate how people have managed to come through it all. Get it all from the past and everything.
Just being so proud of how so far we've come and being accepting as a community and how big it's grown from, what it was to being murdered and tortured to now being celebrated for who we are and not being afraid to be who we are.
Is what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's about the idea that we should respect people regardless of what trivial differences, isn't it? Some things are just only skin deep. So things like skin colour, sexuality, religion, they shouldn't be used to, torment and persecute other and discriminate against others. Exactly. So what value do you think that we're celebrating here today?
I mean, it's just such a
You could give one word that would sum up what this is about.
equality.
Equality. How about yourself?
I guess what it's called, pride.
Pride.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
See, I would say equality. I'd actually say equality, and I would say that equality because it's this idea that we're all equal, we're all on the same level
Yeah.
when it comes to moral consideration. I mean, we might have what differences, and they can be celebrated,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that we should treat someone as a means to an end.
See, people are crazy, and people think that because people like other people, then they're different, and that's stupid. We're all the same person, we're all the same consciousness.
I mean, we're all the same consciousness.
Yes, we
How
are.
far do you think that consciousness kind of permeates?
Far into the universe, my friend.
Far into the universe.
Far into...
So you think
We
that?
are love, my friend.
So do you think that we need to treat everyone with love? Bear in mind that
Oh,
what
definitely.
we're respecting is perhaps the same value that permeates through.
Definitely, mate.
What do you think about that, consciousness and that respect for consciousness? Going further than LGBT. Do you think it would apply to other groups?
Wait, say that again, sorry.
So do you think that respect that we would have, that love, that compassion that we would have for
Yeah.
other people? Do you think that would permeate further
Oh,
than the LGBT community?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's for everybody.
For
you know?
everyone.
It's not just for one group, because that's what they're trying to express. It's not
Yeah.
just for them. It's
That's
it's for everybody.
But also it's about bringing all communities together as
Yeah.
well.
So equality.
So equality, bringing everyone together. It shouldn't just be about a gay pride. And yes, we've marched but it should be about bringing all the communities together and recognising and what went before us, and we're all one.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. We're all being one, as if these, what I would say aesthetic differences, things that are skin deep and trivial, they wouldn't really matter when we consider morality.
No, of course they wouldn't. They wouldn't.
Do you think by offering more support for marginalised groups, we're preventing that suffering by preventing prejudice? And
Yeah, just raise as much awareness as possible, get as many people to talk about it as possible.
yeah,
Just spread the word,
and stop people using trivial reasons to take advantage of others. There's any groups outside of the LGBT community that are facing inequality today? To say women in foreign countries who are oppressed.
Well, yeah, I think everyone should just be treated the same. I don't like when people aren't. Definitely not.
Yeah.
Totally. All of these, all of the people here are different.
I think there is always going to be, we can live in a society where it is more accepted, but there's always going to be people who disagree with it. And, I think that goes with anything. It could go with a favourite colour, but with pride I think it's different because no matter how accepting anyone may be, there's always going to be some people who don't accept it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is almost like an intolerance to intolerance.
Yeah.
Could you name some of those groups?
I could.
Yeah.
trans, lesbians, gays, everyone, I think. Everyone's got an opinion.
What about
haven't
outside
they?
of the LGBT community? So, like, for example, you got women.
Straight
For
people
women.
Them don't. Women, but not straight people. Straight people has got easy compared to
You think?
us. 100%. Everyone's got it bad. Everyone's judgmental as fuck.
What do you think allows people to treat people differently just based on, would you say it's based on trivial differences? Yeah.
Because of drugs and people just being judgmental. They're just pricks.
Judgmental.
There's no need pricks
So,
in
do
it.
you think that they're using, let's say, like, what I would call aesthetic reasons? So something like, something that's skin deep.
Aye,
Like-
20 years ago there was no gay people, so they just think that's normal.
What do you think? Do you think there's anything that would justify, let's say, using someone or hurting them or, just causing harm to them for any reason? Is there anything that would justify that other than, let's say, something like self-defense?
I mean, no, not at all. Like, don't do it.
Just don't do it. So do you think if we can not cause harm to someone, like if it was unnecessary suffering caused to someone, then we should not do it,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Don't do it now.
regardless of, let's say, race, for example?
No, why should you be tormented for your sexuality, race, religion? Like, no.
So do you think that there's another group that I haven't mentioned yet that may face exploitation? Could you think of who they could be?
What's that? Agender and that? What's it?
Agender, that's
Asexual and that. Them as well.
What if I was to say that like I'll give you a little bit of an anecdote. Have you seen who's going to be on my £50 note? No? Well, yes, actually, but that was quite a good answer. That was quite snappy. The new person on £50 note is going to be Alan Turing. Do you know who Alan Turing is?
I don't know that much, but I know that he's going to be on the new £50 note.
Well, he broke the Enigma code in World War II, but he was also homosexual and he faced severe persecution. He was
As we do.
he was prosecuted for being gay and then forcefully chemically castrated.
Oh, I told you about that.
Yeah. And then later in life, he killed himself due to this terrible persecution. Now we can say that is awful. I mean, would you agree that?
It's fucking disgusting.
Yeah. Do you think that? I mean, that happening to anyone? Do you think, regardless of what kind of prejudice it is, would be disgusting?
It's awful.
No, I mean that's awful prejudice. Would you agree?
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, awful. I mean, no one should face anything like that.
And I think it's great that he is going to be on the £50 note and that he's now recognised on that note.
Oh, I completely agree. Do you know the specifics, like that he went through chemical castration?
Obviously, we've seen the film that was out, I think, a couple of years ago. It's good that he's being recognised.
I completely agree. I think he's a hero. I mean, and he should be seen as a hero for what
Absolutely,
he did. Yeah.
absolutely.
And I think that he's a hero for obviously all communities in general. What if I was to tell you that there is a group of individuals that face castration today in the UK? Would you believe us?
I probably would, yes. I would. I think there's a lot of work being done, but there's still a lot of more work to be done.
In some countries, it probably still does.
What about right here in Britain?
Not in Britain.
It wouldn't happen on a large scale, but I think there's definitely some areas of Britain that still would look down on people like that. People forget that in Britain, that people still here.
Well, from how we've gone now, I wouldn't, but there are still, people who do suffer bad things that happen to them.
That's crazy. I don't know. I wouldn't think so. I would hope not.
Wouldn't be surprised. I'm gonna start an uprising. I'm gonna be part of the movement that ends that.
Oh, really? Are you? Okay. What if I was to say that group of people were pigs and lambs?
Well, I wouldn't care if they were pigs and lambs. If they're gay, they're gay. There's no, I wouldn't think it's any different, me.
So, but I'm saying, with the castration, why do you think that happens to, pigs and lambs?
Oh, no. Probably because they're different, aren't they?
What if I was to say that it was because it's standard industry practice in the meat and, the meat sector, pigs and lambs face castration, forcefully castration where, without anaesthetic, their teeth are removed, their tails are cut off, and then they face, a life of, torture and misery until they are eventually slaughtered. So when we buy products that are meat, dairy and eggs, we're actually contributing to the mass slaughter and torture of 58 billion land animals a year.
Listen, at the end of the day, we're humans, we need meat.
Do we?
We don't need meat. We don't need meat. How are you getting your
I mean, I live with my mum at the minute, so I think I'd starve if I was trying to be vegetarian. But when I leave, I'll probably become a vegetarian or vegan.
It's different. Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. So I'm going to throw you a bit of a curveball here.
Okay.
What if I was to say that group that are being castrated were pigs and lambs? Do you think that makes a difference?
No.
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 So do you think that if we should do our best to not fund industries which cause that suffering and
We're all
perpetuate?
one. We're all one, regardless if it's a human or an animal.
Do you think that this respect that we show for other people should be, attributed to non-human animals as well?
Oh, definitely. It should be towards everything. Every living thing has the exact same conscious state, even plants. So I don't see.
Okay, we'll debate plants in a second.
Okay. I'm going off topic.
No, it's all right. We'll debate plants in a second. What if I was to say, have you ever heard of a type of discrimination called speciesism?
Yeah, I learned about that in RE, I think.
What would you say? Can you give us a definition of what that is? I'd say it would be using or exploiting someone else because they are of a different species. So like how we treat cows, chickens, pigs in animal agriculture to use them for food. I'm gonna ask you a question. Do you eat meat, dairy, and eggs?
I'm a pescatarian.
You're a
It's
pescatarian.
because I believe all conscious things have. It doesn't matter
Except
what
fish.
you eat. It doesn't. it doesn't matter what you eat.
Do you eat meat, dairy, and eggs?
No.
I do, but yeah. Yeah.
So do you not think there's a contradiction in saying that it's okay that you wouldn't want it to be done here, but that you'll pay for it to be done through an industry because there's a distance there?
I know it is wrong. Like, I would love to be like vegetarian, vegan, all of that, but I just like meat and dairy.
Do you consume animal products?
I don't like that. I don't eat like bacon and stuff like that and lamb, but I do I also live with my parents. I'm still under 18.
If we
so
weren't relying on our parents
Yeah.
for food, would
I
be
feel
choosing
like that's a
not
big
to.
issue with like vegetarian
Yeah.
things. People still rely on the parents.
Now, do you think that we could live without eating cows, chickens, and pigs? And
Yeah.
I don't know.
I reckon, yeah.
Well, we actually need meat, don't you?
Not really.
Yeah, we're carnivores.
So you don't think we need meat? You think we do?
I
Yeah.
don't know.
I love a bacon sandwich.
Just because you love it doesn't mean you need it. Do you think that, like, if we're looking at past prejudices, like a very particular one was racism in the time of the slave trade? Do you think that the convenience and pleasure of having a slave justified it?
Well, no.
Do you think that, let's say, the place that women had when we were being sexist, do you think that would justify, let's say, me having a privileged position in society over another individual?
No.
So do you not think that that is actually the kind of prejudice that's it's not something that reflects who we are, because we've been so indoctrinated in our culture we don't even see it. And I wasn't vegan my whole life. I've been only vegan for 4 years. I had no idea.
Yeah, you do. You're a carnivore. You can eat your meat.
You carnivore? Think
Is that what it is? I don't know what it is. I don't
So-
know what it's called.
what if I was to say that the diets that we have today, the meat eating diet we have today, is actually perpetuating health problems?
Is it?
Yeah.
Do you ever need no meat, mate?
Or you can get it from lentils, beans, chickpeas.
You need nothing that you don't need meat. You actually
What
don't
if I was to
need
say that
meat.
meat actually contributes to the number one causes of death, like saturated fat and cholesterol found in meat,
Yes.
contributes to heart disease,
Yes.
dementia, stroke risk, diabetes, cancer. So that if we were to actually cut these products out, we would actually be healthier.
Yeah, no.
So there's a documentary, if you're interested, on Netflix, if you're interested in the health side, called What the Health? Massively. We're increased risk of type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, stroke, and all linked to meat and dairy consumption, meat, dairy, and eggs. And that all of these industries cause the suffering and death of sentient beings who feel pain and pleasure just like us. So when we, have a bacon sandwich, what we do to another being is cause their suffering and death. We demand them to be killed. Do you think that's fair?
No, not now that you put it that way.
No.
Eating a plant is exactly the same fucking thing as eating a pig in my eyes. You may say, oh, pig feels pain.
Yeah.
However, everything is still living. you know?
Okay, yeah, but do you think that
So it
a
doesn't
plant
matter.
can have an interest in being eaten or not?
God knows. They probably don't know what's happening.
Well, they wouldn't have a central nervous system, would they? So they don't have
No.
any real conscious awareness of what's going on around them.
Well, I think they're smarter than we are, actually, my friend. I think they're living in a higher frequency.
Higher frequency, but for the knowledge that we have towards what exhibits consciousness and
Yeah.
conscious awareness and how we could treat something with value, we couldn't say that we can't really harm a rock, could we?
I guess you could go far into it
Yeah,
and go
so-
and say that.
So if we can't harm a rock, what differentiates a rock and a plant? Do you think you'd ever try and even tell your parents? Because a lot of the things I've taught my mum's vegan now, I managed to get through, and I think sometimes it's just a matter of educating them as well, and sometimes not.
She's not that smart.
It's okay. So, sorry, mother. I believe in you. Don't you worry. I guess what I'm trying to say is that, like, even if you know, eventually as you try to grow older, you know, you get more autonomy over your food. Try and avoid things like meat, dairy, and eggs because they will cause the inevitable suffering and death of sentient beings who feel pain like you and me. Talking about animals and how they're killed. Do you think that it's okay that if we can live a vegan lifestyle, if we can live a plant-based lifestyle, do you think we're okay in killing them? Or do you think we're just doing it because we like the taste?
We're doing it because we're selfish. We're selfish at the end of the day, that's all it is.
So if I was to say to you...
We get the nutrients from elsewhere, why don't we?
Well, actually, all things are made out of, what is it, carbon... there's 4 main things, and the whole universe is made out of that. We're made out of that. We're all the same thing.
I think there's like more like 200 and... I can't remember how many elements there's on the periodic table. It's more like 200 and...
Well, it's fucking... There's 4 main elements that compose...
For life.
Yeah.
But like that's like carbon, water, oxygen, and
shit like that.
Yeah, like I guess what I'm trying to say is that how would you go about respecting a plant?
Oh, you respect it like your fellow human being. I mean, I often go out. I'll hug a tree if I have to.
You think if I cut the grass, that's the same thing as murder?
This guy. Well, no, because that's like giving your hair a trim, isn't it? It's still there.
I mean, if I dig the grass up.
Now, is a singular grass a living thing, or is all the grass one living thing?
What I'm trying to say is, can I harm the grass?
You probably could if you really wanted to.
Would it feel it?
Well, if you had hate towards it, I'm sure it would feel that hate.
Would it feel it, or would it just react to it?
Oh, I don't know.
Because that's a reflex, isn't it?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Because what I'm saying is that if you're a pescatarian and you're eating like fish.
See, I don't think it matters what you eat. Like, I'm not just not eating meat because I think it's bad or anything. I just don't think it's good for the body to eat meats. That's the only reason I don't eat it. Because of health reasons. I don't.
Okay. If I was to say that you could stop human exploitation, like, you know, let's say someone was going to be killed every time you bought a bacon sandwich, would you buy a bacon sandwich or would you avoid it?
Avoid it.
Now, you can avoid it, you know, you can go, like, I know I was just in Marks and Spencer's before, they've got a few vegan options, Subway has vegan options now, and...
Are you saying that I do love corn?
Corn? Yeah.
I like corn.
They have a vegan range now, so there's no eggs in that. Well, to get an egg, you need a female chicken, yeah? So when we're producing eggs, they can't decide whether it's going to be born male or female. So what we do is we get half of them which are born male, and we throw them in what's called a macerator, which is a big blender, and we'll blend them alive.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. They go like through like the little machine, they just flung around there.
Yeah.
All over. And then they put it, and then it goes down in like a circle, and then they all just blend.
Yeah, so anything, and that's from their day-old chicks. In dairy, we'll have to forcefully impregnate a cow for them to produce milk. So that means that we've got to essentially use what the industry call a rape rack, fix a cow to it, and then forcefully impregnate a bull's semen inside that cow. And once it's impregnated, we then take that calf away, remove it. It's either sent to slaughter that day, like the next day, or it's then raised for either dairy or beef. So it's always going to end up killed. The mother is then fixed to a machine for about 5 years, where they extract the milk from her, constantly impregnating her, gaining infections like cystitis, I think it's called, which is why your milk contains blood and pus. They actually call it somatic cells. There's actually a limit. And you know when Cravendale says we're purer, what they mean is they filtered it more to get rid of the pus and the blood that was in.
I don't even want to eat cereal anymore. Honey chocolate milkshake.
Well, thank you very much, and I really appreciate you coming out here. And I have one last question. Do you think that given the value of equality that you said is permeated today at Pride, do you think that that equality should apply to everyone, including non-human animals?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think that the values of Pride should be aligning with the values of veganism as equality as a whole?
That's not like, I mean, yeah, we should like, but that's not what Pride is about. That's like 2 different things.
You think?
Yeah.
Because I think Pride's about equality, and equality for me is the idea that we're all on the same moral consideration, like ethically, that we all matter just as much, and that any trivial differences, any like prejudices can't be used to justify an action that harms another. And that's what Pride stands against.
Yeah.
So do you think that the values that we propagate today and that equality, do you not think that's the same?
Yeah, but I just mean like, it's not like vegan Pride.
Oh no. Oh no, it's not vegan Pride, but the equality that's permeated. Do you not think that's the same values?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah. I guess, I suppose, like, if you're trying to promote veganism and stuff, it doesn't really belong here. Like, we're trying to
Like-
celebrate, like, the Stonewall riots and stuff. So I suppose if you do want to promote veganism and stuff, like
don't
that,
come
that
to,
does, it's
like-
very important.
Like,
but-
don't come to Pride, like, holding vegan flags, like.
Do you think they would have said this, like, you know, when it was black liberation, when we're talking about the liberation of women and the liberation of other marginalised groups, do you think that it would have been wise to say, oh, please don't bring that here?
No, I'm not saying don't bring it here. It's just like, that's not the purpose of Pride.
Black Pride does belong in
Yeah.
LGBT Pride, though. Like
Like,
the-
Pride
other groups in
started
general.
because of black trans
Yeah.
women, so, like.
I feel like they should both be celebrated, but as separate.
One last question. Do you think that the values of Pride that we celebrate today, like equality, do you think they should be applied to animals as well?
Definitely.
Definitely.
Just, I don't know, like everyone and everything should just be the same.
I don't
Yeah.
think that it's almost the same thing that is actually occurring, because what we're celebrating really is that prejudice should not be justified in our society. So when we're saying that, really this is just another form of prejudice. I mean, we've seen racism, we've seen sexism, we see, you know, prejudice against like homophobia, but this is just speciesism. Would you not think that this should be part of the movement against the, you know, prejudice and inequality?
Because what we're fighting against is people hating against people trying to.
Like sexualities and gender identities.
But like
that's
animal, like I don't know, like it doesn't belong. I
it's
think
just
it
two
should-
different things, like
Is it? So like what makes it different?
the gender identities and the sexuality.
Like with
But then
came-
we said
that's
that
what
black
Pride
people.
is
So is this against racism?
No, because like we're a human race, we're not divided by black and white. Like I feel like we should all come
Well, then,
together.
are we not the animal kingdom? Are we not sentient beings?
Not when we're eating them.
Exactly right. So do you not think that?
Like there's so many people at Pride will eat meat. Like don't like.
Well, then
don't-
they're
don't
probably
be-
then are they not contradicting their values?
Not everyone here is saying that they're vegan though.
No, that's what I'm
That's
saying.
why
But
Pride is about
do you not think by not
sexuality
do you not
and
think by
gender
not
identity?
being vegan that you're contradicting your values when you say you believe in equality?
I suppose to a degree.
I'm gonna ask you a question. Do you eat meat, dairy, and eggs?
I do, yes.
Do you think that there's a contradiction in eating meat, dairy, and eggs and demanding the suffering of another whilst believing in equality?
Yes, there possibly is, and I'll admit to that. Yes, there is.
Oh, well, that's
I
great.
agree.
No, that's really great to hear. That's most people are not this open-minded.
Yeah.
Like
I agree. I think a lot of people would wash over it, but you have to be honest. Yes, it is contradictory.
Oh, I think that's lovely that you're willing to stand here and say that. And I mean, like the thing is that like you could say that that's because you care about, you know, your well-being
Well, yeah.
and that
yeah.
you don't want to feel bad.
Well, no, I don't. It's not a fact of like you shouldn't feel guilty just for being alive. You shouldn't feel.
Oh,
guilty
exactly.
just
I
for
don't think
eating.
so either. But you could always eat plants, couldn't you?
Well, yeah, exactly.
So do you not
There's
think?
no difference between eating
What if I
plants
was?
and eating a pig.
Well, let's say
That's
there
what
was.
I'm saying.
Let's
Doesn't
say
matter
let's
what
say
you
there
eat.
wasn't a difference.
Okay.
Do you think then we should just try and minimise what we eat and try and do the least harm possible?
Well, that's the thing. It's all this mass production of fucking pigs, cows, all that shit.
Well,
And
see,
it's
what
quite
if I
sad,
was to
really.
say to you that no matter what we did,
Okay.
because of the energy transfer between producers, herbivores to carnivores, that there's always going to be more wasted energy so
Probably
long as
is.
you're not a vegan. So you're better off being a herbivore, eating directly,
That's the
rather
thing.
than actually.
Thing is, sorry vegans out there, but farming kills animals too.
Yeah, but animal agriculture, you have to produce the crops to then feed the animals.
Yeah, exactly.
And 90% of soy is then fed to.
Circle of life.
You say it's circle of life, but then if we're going to show something respect, why can't I just kill somebody in the street and eat them, you know?
That is very strange, but I don't know. I don't know, man. It's a bit weird to just kill someone and eat them.
Well, it would be, we'd say that would be morally wrong, as if it would hurt them, wouldn't it?
It's just how we're being raised up. It's like mass
Yeah.
belief in it. I
Yeah.
mean, like what in China and that they're all okay with eating
Like dogs, yeah.
That's just their culture, innit?
Yeah, but does culture justify, you know, acts of hatred and malice?
No.
No,
Well,
that's what pride's about, isn't it?
exactly.
Yeah.
Back on topic. Pride. Yeah.
So, I mean, if that's what pride's about, do you not think that, given, like, you know, courtesy to other individuals, that by deliberately abstaining from causing harm to, let's say, fish, other animals,
Yeah.
like land animals, and, you know, causing harm, like, by using their byproducts like eggs and dairy, which, you know, leads to the killing of baby chicks and calves.
That's true. That's true.
Do you not think that if we avoided that harm, the universe would be a better place?
Well, it probably would be. However, there's too many people who disagree with that.
But what do you think about you and your actions?
I'm just going along with it all. I don't think I'm going to make a difference.
Why not?
By myself.
Well, I
personally.
mean, like vegans are a group
I mean,
anyway. So.
I'll recycle. I'll do what I got to do, but I don't think it's going to make a difference.
Well, I mean, like, well, let's talk about plastic if you like. I mean, 46% of ocean plastic comes from fishing nets.
That's
true.
I mean, that's true.
Uh,
That's my fault. I'm
what
very
about?
sorry,
I mean, like,
folks.
if you care about the environment as well. I mean, if we're looking for the number one cause of global warming, animal agriculture, 51% of greenhouse gases.
Exactly.
Or how about the number one cause of ocean dead zones, also animal agriculture. Number one cause of deforestation, animal agriculture.
All this sad shit you're talking
You
about,
could avoid
man.
it all
Yeah,
if
you
you just
could.
went on a plant-based diet.
You could.
Is that not
indeed.
something you'd ever consider?
I probably would consider it. Yeah.
I was going to say, like,
We're not
have you ever
so
seen the
stubborn.
human rights side of animal agriculture? So, for example, when we look at the people in slaughterhouses, most of them are non-UK nationals, so they're from poorer countries in Europe, and they're brought over to do jobs that we don't want to do. Actually, it leaves many of them with a psychological disorder called PITS, which is a perpetration-induced traumatic syndrome. So when you commit acts of violence which go against the values you hold every day, you have a psychological doubling effect, which causes you to have things like alcoholism, drug abuse, insomnia, and various other psychological symptoms. And these are typically done to minorities who are taking these jobs because they have no other opportunity. Also, it is even worse in places like Kenya, where health and safety is even worse than it is here. So we'll see things like zoological disease risk, which is disease transmission from animals to humans, is even greater. Risk of lacerations and death at work is even greater. Worker exploitation and lack of unionization is greater. I saw Unite the Union here, and there's a lot of worker exploitation in these industries, which is why, to even bring it back to the whole Nazi thing, we bring in gas chambers so that we can distance workers from the act of killing because it's having such a psychological detrimental effect on them. So it is actually affecting all of us. And I think that when we perpetrate violence, we are never really going to have equality. You're never going to see an end to homophobia. You're never going to see an end to racism, so long as that we allow for and sustain some prejudices within our culture. Do you not think so?
Yeah.
So do you think, like, given that, like, all of this goes on, this kind of cruelty that perpetuates harm to other beings, that you would consider going vegan? Or if I told you about a vegan challenge, you would consider it? Or even talking to your parents about it because you're quite young? And
I mean, I might start going back to the quad and that a bit more often. But
that's
I'm not
the
vegan
eggs.
straight away.
Oh no, well, you can just look. It's about education, isn't it? So have you got Netflix?
Yeah.
So there's documentaries on Netflix called What the Health. So it's about the health problems related to animal agriculture, like consumption, like eating animal foods. And there's another one on YouTube, which is about what happens in the industry called Land of Hope and Glory. And that's the organic, high welfare farms that happen in the UK. And it shows what kind of exploitation these animals face. So I would recommend watching them. And if you've got Facebook, there's a group called Challenge 22. So if you've got anything to write it down, or put it in your phone? Yeah. Yeah, so if I was to give you some information on taking a vegan challenge for 22 days, you do it. So have you got something I can, you got like a phone or something I can, so given that, like that, it harms, cows, chickens and pigs, given that it harms other humans and that it's contributing to an environmental catastrophe, if I was to ask you to do a 22-day vegan challenge, would you consider it? Given that you think that it's contradicting your values, your core values, would you consider taking a 22 vegan day challenge?
Yes, I would. I would reconsider. We all can be contradictory. Even Paul can be contradictory.
If I was to tell you that you could sign up for a vegan challenge for 22 days, would you consider trying it?
Oh yeah, I'd try it out. See, what's this website called? I'm just going to sound
It's a group on Facebook called Challenge 22.
Yeah.
And they can offer you mentors if you're struggling, and offer you advice and education or anything that you'd
nice.
struggle with. No, but thank you. I really do
I bet you're
appreciate
only
it.
here for flurry.
No, I really care about equality, and I think that Pride's a really good movement, and I think that if we can keep this kind of atmosphere going and keep it aim it towards like total liberation of sentient beings, then that's just all the better. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Anyway, have a nice day. Goes on, but thank you very much. Have a nice
You're
day.
welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a nice day. Take it easy. Thank you very much for. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Have a nice day. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for your time, mate.
No problem.
Have a nice day.
Man.
Enjoy yourself.
You too. Very much.
No bad. Take it easy.